Welcome everyone to this quick little video. It's not gonna be a fun one, but it's just gonna be a ruling on a recent game that was played today, as well as some general remarks at the end of this video. So, the game we're talking about today is Group A, game number 5, which was played today on Sunday, and was Witch and Pug versus AbhiElq and AbhiElq. So what happened was that a bug that was caused by poor map design caused units to be invisible at times and G-click moves to be locally impossible. AbhiElq noticed that bug early on and agreed to play on. Abhi eventually said he considered the game unplayable, and a solution was offered to Abhi and Elk to play on, which they declined. Then a solution was offered to Pug and Witch to rebuild the exact same game in a new map, in a new file, or the exact same game with the exact same map, but in a new file where the bug would not occur, which they declined though. So this ruling ultimately will settle the affair, since we did not come to an agreement between the two parties and myself as to what to do with that game that we started. My interpretation of things, and yeah, this is final, so I'm just gonna tell you how I saw the events that happened, and then I'm gonna explain based on that my ruling on the situation. Witch and Puck were in a favorable position by the time we scrapped. This is how I interpret the map. AbhiElq did create an advantage for his team by testing out how the game would play, and then deciding to pull the trigger on the scrap, presumably once he realized that the game wasn't going all too well. Again, I'm not saying that this was his intent, but this could have been his intent. I believe he just realized that the game was really hard to play with the bug, because number 3, the bug was indeed bad, unreasonable to be expected to play with, and justifying the refusal to play on. This is my opinion. But again, I'm just saying Abhi did get an advantage out of that bug by not immediately demanding a redo and instead trying to play the game, and therefore, yeah, pretty much giving himself a free opportunity at trying stuff out, and if it didn't work, they could always scrap. Pretty much, that is how I see the situation. Again, not interpreting any malice into this. Alright, now for the two sides. The case for Puck and Witch, they were in a favorable state. That is just how I see the things as they were. By the time that we ended up scrapping the match or whatever, stopping the match, they were in a favorable position. And as well, their opponents used the bug to their advantage as a cop-out when the game went bad. At least, and I'm just gonna repeat this right here, at least they could have theoretically done that. We don't know what they thought while they were playing on, but at least they had the chance to use the bug as a cop-out whenever the game didn't go in their favor. So that was a clear disadvantage to Pug and Witch in that situation. On the other side, the case for Abhi and Elk, the bug was too bad to play on with, so I'm not blaming them for demanding a redo or anything of that sort. And their opponents declined a fair solution that would have preserved the advantage that they had earned. So I said before how Witch and Pug were in a good position in this game, and when I proposed to recreate the exact same position on the exact same map in a file that would not be bugged, they declined that option. So that's also something that speaks for Abhi and Elk, since they were willing to reproduce the exact same game as it went. Therefore, suggesting that maybe their intent was not to simply screw over the work that Pug and Witch had already done. Alright, some outside circumstances that are worth informing you guys about. Player behavior that did not take place in the immediate affiliation with this event being my tournament, will not be factored into the decision. This is particularly relevant because some people from this game accuse other people from this game of being sketchy people and players who are, I don't know, not to be trusted, or who exploit loopholes and bugs and whatever at different points. I don't care at all about all of this. And again, and also I don't care about player skill right here. This doesn't matter at all. Who I thought was better, who I thought should have won, and also not what I think about these people, because to me personally, I don't have anything against any of these 4 people in this game. I think they're all pretty cool guys towards myself, and I cannot and will not speak for anything else. Which, the player, is rather short on time right now and would therefore rather not have a rematch. This is, even if it's tilted in their favor, as I said, I would have created the map to their advantage, just like it was in the game we left off. But he says in order to manage all the remaining games that he has to play, he would rather not commit to any more games, which is fair enough. And which, again, the player, did have time complications the day before already, causing this game to be rescheduled to its eventual time on Sunday. As I said, it was played actually. So yeah, these are just some outside circumstances to take into account, which might or might not add some more context to my decision. Some info before anybody decides to go crazy over my ruling. This is a single group stage game. There's barely any weight to this game. There are no eliminations after the group stage, so even if this game, I don't know, even if you lost this game and ended up last place in your group, you're not gonna get eliminated right away. Of course, it still helps a lot to get a better place in the group stage, but with this being a single game from the groups and there being no eliminations afterwards, this will be treated as a very low stakes game. Alright, knowing that and asking people to take this lightly, the verdict. Neither team has behaved badly enough outside the game or performed good enough within the game to warrant me straight awarding the win to one side. If Witch and Puck had already killed one of the opponents and then Abhi says, wait, I can't play on, I have this bad bug. If the game had already been over, that would be a completely different story. I would just give the win to Witch and Puck, even if they didn't close it out. At some point, you just gotta say, alright, this one's over. But in this case, the game was still very much playable for AbhiElq and Abhi. They could still very much have won this game. I would say that they were at a clear disadvantage, but it was by no means unable to be overcome, in my opinion. The second thing is that no rematch will be held due to Puck and Witch declining. I think just playing a straight-up rematch on a new map is unfair, and I don't like it because the match was already started to be played. I already used one of my maps on this match, and already Witch and Puck did put in some good work and got ahead in the game. So I offered them to keep that lead and start the game pretty much where we left it off, pick up right there with their advantage, and they declined that. So if they didn't want that rematch on the same stage, I'm not gonna make a rematch on a new setting because that invalidates the play we already had up until that point. And also, again, it costs me pretty much a whole new map that I don't want to be using over something like this. That being said, the actual decision I've come to is the verdict. Abhimanyu and El Quixote will be awarded half a win and half a loss. They were very accommodating in their scheduling, even after having to reschedule due to an opponent not being present. They were also placed in an unfair situation caused by the organizer, me, in form of the bug. However, they did use the bug to their advantage to some extent at least, by testing the waters and only confirming the severity of it once the game started turning against them. At least you could interpret their actions as such. And Pug and Witch will also be awarded half a win and half a loss. They played well and took the lead in the game. Their opponents also exploited the bug to an extent. However, they declined a solution that would have preserved their effort and RNG, negating any claim to further favorable treatment. The game was also not a sure victory that could have easily been lost to negligent play. Alright, this effectively means the game is as good as scrapped. It's not entirely scrapped because it still has some impact on the standings. That being said, both teams hold an advantage over teams that lost to the other team. That means, for example, Witch and Puck now have an advantage over any other team in this group that lost or will lose to AbhiElq. On the other side, both teams hold a disadvantage over teams that beat the other team. So, Witch and Puck, for example, will be below other teams in the standings, maybe, or at least have a higher chance of being below them in the standings if that other team has beat Abi and Elk. If both these teams end up tied at the end of the group stage, PugWhich will be awarded the higher placement in the group. So remember, both these teams have now gotten half a win and half a loss. So it is possible that at the end of the group stage, they both maybe have 2.5 wins and 2.5 losses. And if that actually ended up happening, I would then award the higher placement in the group to PugWhich because they did get a little advantage in this game. And of course, I don't want to have that be for nothing. In any other case, by the way, for all the other teams, if there is an equal standing, a tie in terms of wins and losses between two teams, then I will always give the higher place to the team that won in the direct matchup that they played against each other. So this is the closest thing in my mind to a fair decision in this case. Both teams had some advantages and disadvantages from this bug. I do think that PugWhich got a little bit of the short end of the stick, and that's why I give them this tiebreaker advantage. But yeah, that being said, you can turn off right here if all you cared about was the ruling on that situation. I just want to add some closing remarks here, that being an address of criticism regarding my objectivity. And this is really not a big deal because there's really not too much to say about this. I'm pretty much just gonna restate what I've said in the first video that I made about this tournament. That being, this is not gonna be an objective court where every one of your actions and all of your gameplay and everything that you do in the server is gonna be treated completely equally, completely to the letter of the law. You pretty much are at the mercy of me here. I'm doing this all myself, and therefore, if you think that I have any bad intentions or anything against you, then I'm afraid I have to tell you, you're not gonna like a lot of this event. It's just that I do make all the decisions myself. And the reason for this is that I want to keep this event running, and I don't want anything to destroy the event from the inside. So that's what we're doing right here, right? So I'm not objective. I'm also not doing something like, I don't know. This is all just my own ideas here, right? I'm not obliged to fulfill any other person's standards or visions of how an ideal Civ tournament should look like, right? I put up the time, I put up the money, again, just like I said in the first video, and that's why I call the shots. And I'm trying to make all these decisions not to appease certain people because that they don't matter, right? Not a single player in this tournament matters to me personally, in a sense that I have to promote them or, I don't know, enhance them. If I wanted to give the prize money to a certain player in this tournament, then I could just donate $100 to them. I wouldn't have to hold this whole event. That's the thing, right? So I understand completely. If you think I have a problem with you, a personal one, then it could be a rough tournament for you, and then it's a reasonable decision to not participate in it, because, of course, right, it's all just by my mercy, and nobody is keeping me in check. But just consider this. I let anybody who wanted into this tournament, and I don't even know half of the guys here really well. I have no real favorites or people that I dislike in this tournament. If I really wanted to be malicious, would I do this whole shebang that I'm currently doing? I'm designing a ton of maps. I put in my money, my effort, my work, my time, my plight, and my soul. Not sleeping 4 days in a row, pretty much. I don't know. It's just at some point. Again, I'm not forcing any of you to like praise me overly or whatever. I'm just saying, before you come out at me, if you come at me saying my maps are shit, that's fine. I do want to work with any one of you on improving my maps. If you say the balance of the tournament is shit, that's great. We can discuss that, and I want to optimize that to the utmost extent that I can. But if you come at me saying that I'm not objective, or I have a vendetta against you, or I'm treating you unfairly with my rules or my rulings or my uh, I don't know, with the map setups that I present you with, if you think that I'm personally like mistreating you, I can only tell you, really, put yourself on my position. Would you do that? Why do I put up $200 into this stuff? Why do I stay up until 4 a.m. at night, not even knowing if there's gonna be a game, just to try and be around if people want to play? Do I do that because I want to screw up those people that then join my games? Nah, I mean, I don't think anybody does that. Like that's like the most stupid shit ever. Like who's that pity? That petty? Who? I've never seen such a guy. Like not even Michael Jordan would be petty like that, and I don't know, fuck himself that hard just to get some people back. I don't know. So these are the final words. If you think I have a personal problem with you, that's completely fine. Just don't participate in these sorts of events, and please spare me the talk that I'm not that I'm taking this lightly or just screwing people over. I'm not taking this lightly. I've had this week where I've slept like 35 hours in all these 7 nights right now. I went to a funeral. I ditched 2 of my lessons. I An entire day was spent helping my family move. I don't think I spent these countless hours on this tournament and then I take the stuff lightly and I say, I don't care about that guy. I don't give a shit about how he likes this tournament. Just fuck that guy. Think twice before you accuse me of doing that. All right? So that's all I have to say. Really, I just want all these guys to play in this tournament. I want to accommodate to all of them, make all of these guys have a realistic chance at winning that money. And I hope we can get some more games started next week. We had a couple of days without games this week, which was a bit sad. And I know I made it sound right now as though it was a huge burden to me hosting this tournament, but it's really not. Like, as I told you, I have so much work over the entire week, and these tournament games are really the thing I enjoy most out of it. So I hope I can keep this running as long as possible, or at least until it's finished. And again, this is all just out of my own volition. I don't need you all to validate me to say, oh yeah, please keep doing this. This is so great. We love you. That I don't need that. I just need people to participate in the event if they want to, and if they don't want to, that's fine as well. But just please don't argue with me over that stupid shit along the lines of personal vendettas or whatever. All right, that's all for today. Thank you for listening to my rant, and I'll see you in the upcoming tournament games.